Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. The weekend's almost over with us, so it's Sunday night. We're doing this kind of late, 10 o'clock. Just been busy with the family and everything else, but got things ready. So here's what we got going on. Bitcoin's kind of holding up a little bit here over the weekend, so which is nice to see. It's kind of going up right now, which is also kind of nice to see. We'll look at what's going on with Bitcoin. Miners were kind of mixed on Friday, right? We didn't do a live stream on Friday. But we'll take a look at what's going on here with the miners over the past week. We'll also take a look at some of the smaller miners that we discussed last week as well. We covered Argo, Digihost, and DMG. This week we'll cover Mawson, Stronghold, and Sphere 3D as well on that one. And we'll get into how the miners performed against Bitcoin this past weekend. And then we'll get into you guys' Q&A. Should be a pretty fun and easy one, as always. So you guys know the drill. I keep saying this over and over. It seems like I'm a broken record, but not financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research. Full disclosure down below that. Hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin here right now. Bitcoin's looking pretty good actually, which is kind of nice to see. I mean, look at how many days we've had here in the green. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, basically a week in the green here, which is nice to see always when that's happening. Also over the weekend, Bitcoin was, kind of holding its own, which is nice to see. And then today, the new day, which is going to be closing on Monday, Bitcoin's, we're battling with the 200 simple moving average here, which is a red line up here. For the past couple of days here, looks like at least 4 out of the 5 days we've been battling with it. That tells me that the more times we battle with it, the more likely we are to go above it. And I think that might be the case tomorrow. We might actually close above it, which would be a good sign for us. If we look at the weekly also, number here, things are looking pretty good, right? We had a nice green week here. We had 2 green weeks that were in a row. That's looking pretty good. We're starting off the week in the green as well. The RSI is what I really wanted to cover here, which is at about 54 right now. Last time we were at this point, we can see here Bitcoin was, we're kind of at the same spot a little bit, but it's still looking pretty good here. If we go further back though, we can see that the RSI back in October of 2023, which was basically last year, was much, much lower. We were at 28,000 at that point. We are at 63, almost 64,000 right now as it is. So the RSI here looks pretty good. If we look at the 4-hour chart on the RSI as well, we can see that the RSI here right now is at 66. Bitcoin price is still coming up here a little bit. Last time we were at this level was probably right around here. Price was lower. So on the 4-hour chart, it's looking pretty good. If we look at the 1-hour chart here, the RSI here is at 64, almost 65 as well. Last time we were back here, price was actually lower. So it's looking a little good for us. We'll see how it goes this week. But seeing that this is going to be possibly, the last week in September for us, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually have a pretty good week here on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been doing pretty well even in September right now. If we look at, where's it at on this one here, we can see that Bitcoin is still up. Let me refresh this really quick to make sure we're getting the latest data. Yeah, it's up 7.75% right now in the month of September. So it's similar to what we've had in 2015 and 2016 timeframes. And then if you look at October, historically has been pretty good, along with November for us, right? We talked about this in the past as well. So it looks like we might have a couple, at least maybe 3 good months here. September's going to be an okay month, but October and November we're expecting to be much better months for us going forward. So that could be the rally that we're looking for, where Bitcoin possibly gets to like 80 to 100,000, somewhere around there. We don't know exactly where it's going to go, but that could get us somewhere around in that ballpark, more or less. Okay, now the miners for the Friday had a mixed result, right? Bitcoin was only up slightly here on Friday. It was up 0.24%, so 1/4% roughly on the day. Miners were mostly mixed. We had a couple that were up. Digital, Bitdeer was up, CORZ, DMG, Hive, Hive was just flat. Marathon was up just a little bit, and Wolf was up also a little bit as well. So it was a mixed day on Friday for us. Okay, but that's basically it on that. Let's take a look at the network hash rate really quick here. On the 7-day, we can see that Bitcoin's at 635 exahash. On the 30-day average, we can see that it's kind of flatlined a little bit here. It's at 645 as well. And I expect that to continue to go up as time goes on, where we might actually end up by the end of the year closer to like 800 exahash on the average if things continue the way they are right now. Okay, now Bitcoin, not Bitcoin transaction fees, but Bitcoin hash price has been coming up here as well as Bitcoin price has been coming up, which we are at $43 right now per petahash, which is good. It's not great, but it's good. We'd like to see that above 50 and higher, and we will get that once Bitcoin starts going up in value closer to 80, 90, 100,000, 125,000, 150,000. That will be a much bigger improvement here going forward for it. All right, but that's it on those. Let's take a look at the stories that we do have here. We have one story on BitDigital, which I forgot to mention during the opening here, but BitDigital is on a kind of a little bit of a hiring spree here. So BitDigital Inc. announces key hires for its HPC business, appoints Benjamin Lamson as head of revenue, and Tom Sanfilippo, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his name right, as CTO, so Chief Technology Officer there. And here's what we have. So BitDigital announced today that the company has appointed Benjamin Lamson as head of revenue and Tom Sanfilippo as Chief Technology Officer. Both executives will report directly to the CEO, Sam Tabar, and play critical roles in the growth and development of BitDigital's high-performance computing HPC business. So this is good. And they're both really good hires here based on what they reported here. So Benjamin joins BitDigital as a head of revenue, bringing a proven track record in scaling revenue and driving growth. Most recently, he served as the head of Paperspace revenue at DigitalOcean from July 2023 to August 2024, following BitDigital's acquisition of Paperspace. As Chief Revenue Officer at Paperspace, he led a transformative go-to-market strategy that resulted in 350% increase in top-line revenue over 18 months. That's really good, right? I am currently using DigitalOcean for some of my stuff that I do with website development and things like that. And DigitalOcean is great for those types of things. And with DigitalOcean also acquiring Paperspace, I can see why possibly some of these guys were let go, maybe, or we're looking for other positions because, you don't need duplicates in employment, basically, with those possibly. That's why maybe those have happened there. But that's really good, right? Tom brings decades of experience in systems programming and software development to BitDigital. Before joining the company, he was with DigitalOcean as well, right? Following its acquisition of Paperspace in 2023 at Paperspace, where he served as Chief Technology Officer from 2016 to 2023. His extensive expertise also includes nearly a decade at Microsoft, where he led one of the largest development teams in the Microsoft Office group, working on the precursor to OneDrive. So he's got experience here. Both of these guys have experience, which is good because BitDigital is going to need it as they possibly grow and expand their HPC offerings. And the great thing about BitDigital's offerings is that they are very nimble, right? They're not locked into any single site or anything like that. They will find site for the customers and things like that. By having these people on board, I think helps them in the long run. So this is all good news for BitDigital going forward. BitDigital is not really being valued right now on their HPC or Bitcoin mining itself. I think Bitcoin mining is going to go away from BitDigital eventually. They haven't stated anything about growth. They were originally wanting to grow to like 6 exahash by the end of the year. But recently, there's just been no talk of any growth in Bitcoin mining. It's all been HPC driven more so. So I'd expect, or at least I'm thinking, that they will eventually probably get out of Bitcoin mining in general and then just concentrate on HPC business because that is more profitable for them. But that's kind of what I'm seeing here, at least right now. We'll see if that changes going forward, but right now, that's kind of my thoughts on it. Okay, so great job by BitDigital here getting those two appointments or hires. So we'll see how they continue to do going forward on that. Okay, so that's it for those. Let's take a look at the small miners here. We're going to go through Mawson, Sphere 3D, and Stronghold really quick here. I believe Sphere 3D is the only one that hasn't provided their August production numbers yet. Let me see. I want to say that's the case. I'm trying to remember from this morning when I did this data here. What do we have them for? We have, through July only. So they're the only ones that did it through July. Everybody else provided for August as well. So first one I bet is Mawson. Mawson has 16.6 million shares outstanding. Market cap 20 million. Right? These guys are very, very small. You can see their performance over the last 12 weeks has not been great. Current hash rate about 1.5 exahash roughly. A lot of the numbers that we do get from these guys is very minimal as far as information-wise is concerned. They're only providing me... some are even not providing the actual amount of BTC that they mine. They're just providing the revenue, which is it's a little bit harder, but we can figure that out based on what the average price of Bitcoin was and things like that, roughly. Okay, but Mawson here has, you can see BTC mined has continued to go down. They have gotten a HPC customer for their sites. They do have more revenue from hosting as well. So they've been pivoting over the last, I would say, probably year to year and a half going more in on hosting, and now recently into the HPC business as well. They do have a small customer there that will generate some revenue for them for that. I think that's a lifeline for them to stay afloat, because as you can see, their revenues here have been decreasing tremendously over the last 12 months here. How much they mine Bitcoin and just general revenues for Bitcoin mining here. Let's see here. BTC per exahash efficiency also very inefficient, so they have also older machines as well. Bitcoin sold, how much they've been selling pretty much everything they mine. The hash rate, I haven't met the same hash rate that they've been at since October of last year, and that is only because they don't provide any information on the hash rate that they have currently. They do have older machines as well. We'll look at that down below. Revenue has been coming down here to only 222,000 here in August. Right, that business is going to the wayside. I may stop covering them here in the future because of this. They're just not doing anything to grow their own hash rate. Bitcoin sold value, how much they sold on it. Going down here, we'll get into these numbers in a second here. Institutions and analyst ratings went up to 20 here. And this is basically based on almost 2 months of lag here. So last time we checked on them was 727. Now we're checking them on them just today. 20 institutions now. We have a little bit more shares owned by institutions, 1.3, and then percentage went up to 7.31. We now have zero strong buys, zero buys. We now have one hold buy or one hold rating, 0 underperform, 0 sells, and then price targets are 0 across the board. There's nobody really covering them anymore. So it seems like analysts are thinking that they are going to be going out of business, but with the new HPC business that they got there, that might be some potential there. Okay. Going down here to May, or actually the numbers for July and August, I have them mining for approximately 6.36 days. And you can see here they have older generation miners, much, much older. 90 terahash, 85 terahash miners. Those are like, there might be a few days out of the month where they are profitable to mine, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. 6.36 days here in July, 3.4 days in August only. So I'm expecting maybe in... I should update this to September, but maybe September is going to be even worse. We may be down to like 1.5 days at that point, unless Bitcoin really starts going up in value on it. Why am I saying September 24th? So it's interesting. Revenue continues to go down there, but like I said, they are generating more from hosting, and they are getting a customer for HPC that could be a sizable one for them going forward. Okay, based on my numbers alone, last 3 quarters and the current quarter that we do have them in, I'm in between $1.14 to $1.71. They're at $1.22. I think that they are fairly valued as it is right now. If we use the revenue from Bitcoin mining alone for them for August, I have it between 16 cents and 24 cents. That would give me that they are overvalued. But like I said, they are getting revenue from hosting, and now the HPC customer, I think they're pretty well valued right now as it is on them. Okay, so that's it for Mawson. Let's take a look at Sphere 3D here. Sphere 3D is only through July, like I said before. 14 million shares outstanding. Stock performance hasn't been great over the last 12 weeks. Current hash rate 1.2 exahash. Future hash rate 1.8. I doubt that they're ever going to reach that. They were supposed to reach that a while back. And then you can see their BTC production here has been coming down pretty much ever since they peaked in December of last year. And it's been coming down because they haven't been upgrading their not software, but hardware. Bitcoin HODL has also been decreasing as well. BTC per exahash efficiency has been coming down all as well. Bitcoin sold, they've been selling even more than what they actually HODL here. So they're down to like only 2 Bitcoin now here. So they've been selling quite a bit here to stay afloat. Hash rate has been stuck at 1.2. Bitcoin mine revenue, 1 million here for them. That's not great. I'm sure their overhead is much higher than that as it is. And then going down here really quick, we'll get into these numbers. Institutions decreased a little bit here to 27, but shares actually increased to 931,000. That's now 4.5% owned by institutions. We still have the 1 buy rating for them. Price targets actually came down to $3 for the high, average 3, and the low for 3. Going down here, what they mined here in July, I have it mining for approximately 20.2 days, it looks like, to get to the 1.253, and it should be actually less than that even, I think. Did I mix? Let's see. It should be 1,054,000. Okay, well, we may have to do some number crunching here. I might still have missed this one. 1054, so let's put them at 18. That's even too high. 17 days. All right, close enough. 16.8, 16.7. Okay, 16.65. Okay, that's pretty close, 155. So 16 days. And that's also because they have some older generation machines, 100 terahash machines for that. And that's the reason for it. They were on one of my lists that they would possibly be going out of business, or, well, nobody's going to really acquire them because all they own is ASICs, basically. They don't have any infrastructure or anything like that. They were on my list that they would be going out of business potentially. So we'll see how they can survive here. But based on what we were seeing here with them, the last 3 quarters, current quarter that we're in, I have in between 225 and 338. They're at 89 cents. That's even with a P of 3 here. If we look at the numbers here for the past month of July, multiplying that times 12, I have in between $1.32 and $1.99. 89 cents. I mean, no infrastructure, no growth. I don't know. They're catching like, what is that? Maybe a 2x? Not even that. Yeah, a 1x on their growth or on their operations, more or less. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get much for these guys here. They might get a little bit of a lift as Bitcoin goes up in value, but man, it's going to be tough for them to survive, I think, going forward. So they're on my chopping block here as well. We'll see how they do. Next is Stronghold. So a Stronghold, as you guys know, is being acquired by Bitfarms. They're also one of the ones that have been on my chopping block as well in the past because their costs have been just too high for their operations. They can't seem to be positive cash flow, more or less, each quarter. And that's tough if you can't do that. And we'll see how, I guess Bitfarms has pretty good plans for them going forward. And there is some opportunity also to get more megawatts out of the sites that they do have, which would be beneficial to Bitfarms in the long run because Bitfarms does want to grow. Okay, but right now they have about 11.9 million shares outstanding. Stock price has not done great over the last 12 weeks. It's been up more so in the past than recently here. Current hash rate about 4.7 exahash. This includes also hosting, I believe, for them. So Bitcoin production here was 63, which I believe also includes the hosting part of it, which it's a little bit less. I think it's like between 1 and 1.5 exahash for them. On that, revenues have been continuing to come down here. You can see 3.78 million here in August. July was 3.95. Hash rate has stayed flat here. Bitcoin sold. They pretty much sell everything that they mine. BTC per exahash efficiency stayed at 13.42. Going down here, institutions did increase a little bit. I think this is mainly because of Bitfarms buying them out or looking to buy them out. Shares also increased to 4.3 million. 30% is now owned by institutions. We have 1 strong buy rating, 0 buy ratings, 2 hold ratings. Price target stayed the same at $8.50 for the high. $7.25 is up, and the low actually is up to $6 on that one as well. Going down here, what did they operate on July here? About 17 days or so, 18 days in August. Not great, right? They're also running some of these older machines as well, 100 terahash. Some of the newer ones, 130 terahash, 118, 120, 123. Kind of mixed in the boat there. But yeah, it's not great. It's not looking too great for Stronghold, which is why I believe that Bitfarms is going to be hosting with them some of their machines, paying them in advance, and also just to kind of keep them in business or keep the doors open, basically, and the lights on until Bitfarms is able to buy them out completely until that point. So this is definitely a lifeline for Stronghold with Bitfarms buying them out. Looking at the numbers that we do have here, I have them between 673 and 10. If we look at the last 3 quarters, which I think I updated this correctly at June. Why do I have March in here? Oh, yeah. Okay. June, March. Yeah. Last 3 quarters. And the current quarter that we're using right now. So 673 to 1010. They're at 440. I think they are overvalued, but Bitfarms is paying a little bit of a premium on them. And then if we look at the last month here of August, multiply that times 12 months. And we get them between 380 and 570, so they are pretty fairly valued on that as it is right now. Okay, so that's it on the smaller miners. There's a reason why they put them in the smaller miners is because they're not growing. They have issues with operational costs, other things like that, that just make it very difficult for them to grow going forward. I do love the fact that Stronghold has a business where they're cleaning up sites with the spent coal and turning those into like parks and everything else. I do love that side of the thing. They also have another part of the business where they have the carbon captures that they're working on. So they have some good things happening for them, just, too much overhead, I think, on it. Okay, that's it on Stronghold. Excuse me. Let's get into the miners here on the weekly. So these are the big guys that we usually cover on this, and we always look at how far the miners are up from the 52-week lows and how far away they are from the 52-week highs as well. And you can see here that recently TeraWulf and CORZ are up the most. CORZ is up 376%. That is mainly because of the HPC hype out there, AI. They're supposed to get to, like, I believe, 10 or 13 exahash by the end of the year potentially, and then they're pretty much done for, I think. They haven't reported on buying anything else. No other plans beyond that. And they're just concentrating on HPC possibly. There's been a couple big investors in them. And like I said, I think that's just all based on HPC AI hype right now. Cleanspark is up 177%. IREN is up 171%. BitDeer is up 148%. Bitcoin is up 132%. All of these guys are, more or less slightly overperforming or greatly overperforming Bitcoin right now. Marathon's only up 125%, Bitfarms 122%, Hut 81%, BitDigital 63%, Cypher 43%, Hive 41%, and Riot 13% only, unfortunately. And that's the only thing I can think of for Riot is their operations have not been great over the last 18 to 24 months, so that may be the reason why. Okay. When we look at the weekly performance side of things, we can see that Bitcoin's up 12%. Everybody has outperformed Bitcoin here, with the biggest gainers being last week BitDeer, Hut 8, Marathon, Core, and Hive. Those are the top 5. Everybody else is like 17, 16, 14% or so on it. If we look at the 4 weeks, things look a little bit different. Then Bitcoin's down only 5%. The only one that has outperformed is Core, being up 4%. Everybody else has underperformed here at the 8 weeks. Same kind of situation, more or less. Bitcoin's down 11%. TeraWulf is only down 4%. So TeraWulf and Core being up 10% have outperformed Bitcoin here. Everybody else is underperformed. And then 12 weeks, Bitcoin's pretty much flat here right now. And the only ones that have outperformed are TeraWulf being up 2%, BitDigital being 9%, and Core being up 25%. So Core has been doing the best here. Core, we know that they have a huge customer there with CoreWeave. That's going to be generating a lot of revenue for them going forward into 2025 and beyond. And that's why they're getting a nice bid here right now, as it is. Now, going down here, we can see here we had a nice green week for all the miners here last week. We had 2 weeks in the red. We had a nice green week for all the miners here prior to that as well. And then after that, it was kind of mixed here between some green and red between the miners. And hopefully we start getting a lot more greens here, which we I don't know if we go back here far enough. We don't. We go back to 11. Let me see here. Yeah, 11, 12. We can see here, I mean, between November and December of last year, we had a lot more green here than we had red, which was nice to see, which is kind of what I'm expecting here going forward. And once we get into October and into November as well. Okay, so that's it on that one. And then last, let's just take a quick gander here into enterprise value per BTC exahash. We can see here that Hive is still the most undervalued at 44 million per exahash, followed by Riot at 53, then Iris at 66, Bitfarms at 73, Cleanspark at 77. And this is for current hash rate. Cypher at 86, Marathon 93, BitDeer 120 million, Hut 124, BitDigital 147, Core 151, and TeraWulf being way overvalued at 171 million right now as it is. If you look at future hash rate growth for these guys, Cleanspark and Riot are now pretty much tied at 31 million here roughly. So those two are the most undervalued companies here for the future hash rate growth, followed by Iris, followed by Hive and Bitfarms. Then you got Cypher, Marathon, Hut 8, BitDeer, BitDigital, Core, and TeraWulf as well on it. And then we got the enterprise value per BTC. And you can see how things stack up here. I probably should update that. Let me see here. I think it's going to be this one here. Let's see. Is it this one? I believe it's this one. Sort descending or ascending? Sort ascending. There we go. So Hive is the most undervalued for amount of BTC that they generate. Then Bitfarms, Cleanspark, Riot, Iris, Cypher, Marathon, BitDeer, BitDigital, Hut 8, Core, and again, TeraWulf being the most overvalued. So we got a couple of metrics here telling us that TeraWulf is way undervalued. And the reason for that is right now it's just everybody's kind of going crazy over HPC AI plays. And TeraWulf has been signaling that they may have something potential there. All right, that's it. So we'll leave it at that. As always, you guys know that I provide all these spreadsheets to the YouTube members and Patreon members. So If you want access to that, link for the Patreon membership is down in the description as well, and that's $8 a month, and you might be able to find a couple spots that are still $4 and $5, which have access to all of this information as well, regardless of the tier that you're in. All right, so that is it. There's my sales pitch. Let's get into the Q&A if you guys have any questions or not, and we'll call it a day. So it should be pretty fun. All right, let's see. What am I missing here? Going back through some of the comments here, questions, trying to find something. Also, I got to say, today I reached 10,000 followers on Twitter. So thank you to everybody that has followed there. Quick shout out to the Bitcoin mining stock guy. He's played a pretty big role in that, as well as Jesse from micro to macro or macro to micro. I can't remember his account, but he's had also a huge impact on having the followers there on Twitter or X, and then also Anthony and Bryce and everybody else. I'm sure I'm going to be missing some people here, but thank you to everyone for following and joining. It's been a fun ride. What else we got here? Let's see. Neutrino says BTC pinched 64,000 a minute ago. Yeah, I got to like 64,000, and that's actually higher than that. It's at 64,600 right now, roughly. That is good news. We'll see how tomorrow goes, right? We could be where we're going up right now, and then we get into the U.S. markets and things start to sell off like we've seen in the past as well. So as long as this continues and we close above the 200 simple day moving average, I think this is going to be great, but we'll see. Okay, not a question of if, but when. The real question is, do you have what it takes to ride it there? I'm not sure what that is in response to. Well, maybe to Cleanspark going to 50, maybe. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, you guys are talking about Cleanspark on the vote. I got to vote on that still. I got to check my emails to see where that is coming in at, but I have to vote on that. I will be voting in favor of the increase in shares. What else we got here? Okay, question. Bitcoin at 64.5. Do you think Cleanspark will move 2% today? Yeah, I don't know. I think we need Bitcoin maybe to go above the 73,000 mark like we had before in order for the miners to start really acting like miners in this regard, where they do better than Bitcoin. I think right now it's just like maybe a little game here with them. We'll see. What else? Okay. Seb, where do you see Cypher and BitDigital when BTC is 100,000? Cypher is down more than half since middle of July. A lot of these miners are down quite a bit, right? 50%, even 60% on some of these miners. They're all down quite a bit except for TeraWolf. TeraWolf is getting a bid because of the HPC AI play there, possibly. So where do I see BitDigital and BTC if Bitcoin gets to 100,000? BitDigital is a tough one. Like I said before, BitDigital does not own any infrastructure right now. They host everything, both for HPC and Bitcoin mining as well. I don't know if that's being a detriment to them going forward. Sam has talked about possibly buying sites in the future, and he said that they have at least maybe one site that they were looking into it very hard to possibly buy them out. I haven't heard anything on that. I think that would help maybe. And then with them not growing their Bitcoin mining side of the business as well, I think that might kind of hurt them. So I don't know. It's tough to figure out where they could be. I think they should be valued much higher from where they are right now as it is. But given that Bitcoin goes to 100,000, they should go up. But will they go up as much as some of the other miners? That I don't know. And then as far as Cypher is concerned, Cypher is also one of those that's going to be growing pretty good this year, but more growth going into 2025 as well. So that'll be interesting as well on that one. Hard for me to tell where Cypher could possibly be, because more of the growth is into 2025 than it is in this year as well. So not sure, but they should go up. If Bitcoin goes up, they should go up as well. They should at least follow Bitcoin, in my opinion. Let's see. What else we got here? Trying to find some good questions here. You guys are talking about with Chris, well, a lot of communication happening here with Chris and Riot, and people going back and forth on it. Okay, hold on. I'm coming down here. Bear with me if you posted a question. I'm trying to read through all the comments here really quick while I get down to the actual comments. Okay. Okay, here we go. Question. BlackRock has spot options since there are so many new products out there like ETFs and others. Why would investors choose to invest in miners? Last cycle they had no choice, but now they do. Well, the miners is just a proxy play on Bitcoin, right? Yes, they do have more options right now. If you want to get into pure Bitcoin and things like that, you have more options. But the miners have their proxy on Bitcoin, so there's also like a leverage play on them as well. Especially when Bitcoin goes up much higher from where it is right now, say 150,000, even more. That's the point where the miners are they're printing money basically at that point. Especially the top ones, the ones that are growing and things like that. They are going to be having profit margins of like 75, maybe 80%, maybe even 85% profit margins at that point because they can still mine Bitcoin at, maybe 35, 40,000, whatever it might be, 45,000. And if Bitcoin's at those prices, north of 150,000, they're making a lot of bank at that point. That's why I think people will still get into the miners because there's just so much more upside potential. It's short-lived. It's not a very long part of it, but for those, I would say maybe 6 to 9 months, it's fantastic for the miners at that point. Okay. John Kurt says Bitcoin 64,440 buy more BitX, Digital new hires. Yeah, talked about that. Let's see. Cleanspark 250. No one should ever say that they own in a YouTube channel. Cleanspark 250. No one should ever say what they own. Yeah, I mean, well, you're not supposed to disclose it. Yeah, keep it close to your vest, I guess. Let's see. Seb is number one hater of Riot. Bad Seb. I'm not a hater of Riot. I just go by the numbers. The numbers talk to me, and their operations have been great, unfortunately. So I want all the miners to do well. I think some miners will not do well, but I want all the miners to do well. I think Riot has the potential to do well also. I would just like to see much better uptime from them. And you know this, Chris. You've been on here before. You know what my thoughts are on it. It's not that I'm a hater. Yeah, Para says, worst performer in the last 52 weeks. He's not hating. He's giving you the numbers. Yeah, I mean, the numbers are what they are. Let's see. Scott says, Cleanspark down 48% in 8 weeks. Wonderful. Sub-all miners weren't up. Cleanspark down 4%. Yeah, sometimes the miners don't follow Bitcoin directly. Just gotta be patient, I think. Bitcoin, I mean, Cleanspark was up to what, $24? At one point, it got way overvalued a little bit. Same thing with IREN. IREN went up to, what was it, $14, $15? It had to come back. It was just way overvalued. So things need to cool off a little bit before we start running them, the next leg up potentially. Let's see. Para says price needs to come down to keep moving up. Study Wyckoff. Yeah, that's kind of what I was just saying just a minute ago. We need price to come back a little bit to reality, and then we can go back up much higher. What else we got here? You're right. Peak dollar price this cycle. Well, I think if they can get their operations closer to what Jason has stated before on Bryce and Anthony's show, in an interview with them, he said that in general, on average, they should be operational at like 95% uptime at, I believe, I don't know if it was for both sites, Rockdale and Corsicana, if it was just Corsicana, but either way, I would like to see that happen. If that actually happens, I think the stock should do much better from there. And at that point, I could see them being, north of $40, $50 in the cycle. Let's see. Scott, thank you so much. Let's see. Hey, Seb, thanks for doing this. Any concerns on hash rate? Make me feel a little better about it, please. Well, the hash rate has been going up. We know that. That's going to continue to happen. The miners are buying more efficient miners, which is good. And a lot of the miners are actually outpacing the network hash rate growth, which is also good to see. So we'll take a look at September numbers to see where the miners came in at. But that is a given. We do have a window typically with Bitcoin between 69 months where Bitcoin just goes parabolic and the hash rate does not keep up with it, because at that point there's just a lot of hash rate that has already come online. And that's always a good sign, because at that point the miners can generate a heck of a lot more revenue. Let's see. Riot and Cleanspark kept very close together. Do you feel Cleanspark right now is more undervalued than Riot based on current operations? Yeah, but I mean, if we look at historical numbers for both companies, Riot has not performed well because of their operational uptime has not been great over the last, I would say, 18 to 24 months. Cleanspark has been much, much better, right? Their uptime is closer to like 98, 99% uptime for the most part on average. So based on that, I would expect Cleanspark to do much better going forward because of where it's at and where its growth is as well. I mean, they're looking to get to 37 exahash this year. There's an increase from 32 exahash to possibly 50 exahash sometime, I'm guessing maybe in Q1 of next year. So they have a lot of growth here as well. But I can understand why Riot is undervalued right now, and that's mainly because of their operations. Cleanspark, excuse me, there's no really reason for it to be undervalued the way it is right now, other than them going to add an additional 300 million shares into the company to use later on, right? They're not going to use that all at the very first year or the very first 6 months. Like I said before, I think they're going to probably use that over the next 5 to 7 years potentially. But people just hear that they're increasing shares from 300 million to 600 million and they panic. And it's kind of where we're at right now. What else we got here? Andre asks, "Hi Seb, I know you are bullish on IREN and Cleanspark, but over the 12 weeks, they are both down 45%. Maybe the metrics you are using are not the correct ones to use this cycle. By the way, I also hold them." I'm still up on Cleanspark and IREN, and that's because I've been buying into them for such a long time, since 2022, and dollar cost averaging into them. So if you did that, then you'd be up. If you bought them just, 12 weeks ago, then yes, you would be down. So you have to look at it at a much longer time frame. Is how are the miners progressing, basically months, over years. You can't just go back 12 weeks and say, okay, I got into them at that point, and the metrics aren't working. The metrics do work, but you have to give it a much longer time frame on that one. And I continue to buy into them as they've been coming down in price. I've been buying, but Cleanspark, IREN, Bitfarms 2 weeks ago, and I may actually look to buy some more this week as well, because I do believe that they are just way undervalued currently where they are right now. But the metrics are the metrics. They don't lie, right? It's based on data, based on what the company's providing and everything else, and then you can actually see which companies are doing pretty well. Depending on which metrics you look at, people can be you can be choosy as far as which metrics you want to look at. But I like to look at a lot of the metrics and see where things are going, and I still believe that those guys will do much better when Bitcoin starts going up in value. Okay. Bar asks, wondering if you can do a deeper dive into HPCI sides of these miners, wondering if we can get some data on the spreadsheets. I think we should take a deeper look. Yeah, Core has a huge contract there. BitDigital has a nice contract as well. IREN has a smaller contract right now. They're buying more HPCs as well. And then we got Hut 8 in it as well, along with Hive, that have some customers for that right now, but it's marginal as far as what they're bringing in, as well as IREN right now. But eventually, if that starts to grow in revenue, where it's, instead of being only $1 million a month, what if that turns into like 2, 3, 5 million a month? Okay, that starts to be substantial at that point. I may start including some of the stuff in that as well. I may include CORZ numbers going forward once they start doing that, because you're getting a sizable amount. And that's going to be definitely an impact on where the stock price could possibly be, along with Bitcoin mining things. My concern all this time has always been, yes, there's a lot of hype around HPC AI, but we're not seeing it in the actual miner side of things, except for like Core Scientific, BitDigital, and then who else has a big one there? I think Mawson got a small customer there as well. And that's basically it, I think, right now. IREN has a small customer, but those are all small. Those are all, less than $10 million a month of revenue. So I just don't know. I'm skeptical right now. I just don't see the hyperscalers getting into bed with the miners for the most part. I think if they do, they're going to buy out either portions of their business, other sites that are attractive to them, or buy out the miner completely and just scrap the Bitcoin mining side of the business and just use the megawatts for their self-mining. But that's only for also a couple of miners that have large megawatt sites. Somebody like Cleanspark would be less attractive, I think, to a hyperscaler to buy them out because they have sites all over the place and a lot of sites with smaller megawatts. That's kind of my thinking on it. I could be wrong on this as well, but that's kind of what I'm seeing here right now. And but yeah, I'll definitely include more data on the HPC-AI business as things progress. But right now, it's still kind of minimal as far as how much revenue they're generating from it. Okay, what do you think is the conservative estimate for Bitcoin by end of year? 65, 75, 85? I think somewhere between 80 and 100,000, I think, is where I would be looking to have Bitcoin be at that point. From current price, which do you think would outperform between IREN, Cleanspark, and Bitfarms? All things being equal, I would think that Bitfarms would outperform maybe because they're just undervalued more so than Bitfarm or more so than IREN and Cleanspark is right now. But they have Riot on their shoulders, so that's keeping them down. Given that simple fact, I think it's going to be tough between Cleanspark and IREN because Cleanspark right now has more HODL, and we could maybe get a better value for that, especially as Bitcoin goes up in value, whereas IREN does not have anything in HODL. So it'll be tough. I would say it's going to be a close race between those guys. Okay. Well, okay. What else we got? Why is everyone not talking about Microsoft paying for the 3 Mile Island to reopen? Do you think this validates CORZ HPC expansion? Where do you see that stock going? Did I talk about it? I thought I talked about it on Thursday's stream, where Microsoft is buying or leasing the 3 Mile Island site. And that's kind of what made me think that along with other things that I've been seeing here in the markets is the hyperscalers are going to go at it themselves. They're not going to partner with any of these Bitcoin miners. They don't want to deal with Bitcoin in general. They just want the megawatts, and they will find that historically they have all done it by themselves, right? The hyperscalers like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Oracle, Meta as well. I mean, those guys are looking to spend over $100 billion here in the next couple of quarters to grow their HPC, AI, and data center business in general. The miners that I cover here, the 12 of them, they only account for 20 billion roughly. So if they wanted to do anything with some of these guys, I would think it would be like maybe with IREN, Riot, possibly CORZ, maybe also TeraWulf and maybe Cypher, because they have some bigger sites with more megawatts. They would just buy them out completely. And like I said, scrap the Bitcoin mining side and put in their HPC business in that. As far as where CORZ could be, CORZ is also kind of interesting because CoreWeave is basically leasing the facilities from Core, right? Where CoreWeave is going to be inputting or installing their own infrastructure into it. So CORZ is just basically a landlord there at that point, more or less. And CoreWeave wants to become one of these hyperscalers, Amazon, Microsoft, Google for HPC, AI types of things. So it's not that CoreWeave has their own AI ambitions as far as software or anything like that. They want to be the hardware that drives the AI innovation. So that's a little bit different there. BitDigital has 2 customers now, one major one, where they are actually working with BitDigital to create HPC-AI software or large language models, whatever it might be, in that. So that's a little bit different. That's why you see a big difference in the amount of revenue being generated here between BitDigital and Core Scientific as well. Okay, I hope that kind of makes sense. Let's see. Is Bitcoin skyrocketing the only way out for Bitfarms? Not only way. I think it also depends on how the shareholders will vote in November 6th, right, for the shareholder meeting. If they support Riot and getting maybe the 1 or 2 board members there, at that point, I think if Riot does get that, they might try to still buy out Bitfarms. If they don't get the board seats, at that point, I think Riot will stop. They'll see it as a no-win situation for them there, possibly. So I don't think it's only that, but Bitcoin going up definitely helps because then it gets the price of Bitfarms up as well, where Rising, I don't want to overpay it as well. Sanjay says, congrats on your 10K. Thank you. I greatly appreciate your consistency and dedication is unmatched. Well, I wouldn't say it's unmatched. I think Anthony and Bryce are definitely keeping up with me. They might be actually surpassing me right now. I think they're going like on 5 or 6 days a week of videos. They've been doing a fantastic job here lately, which is fun to see. Darren says BTC is pumping. Question, do you think it's smart to get BitX, the 2X BTC ETF, once there is a big sell-off, pull down Bitcoin? Yeah, I think at that point it would make sense. If you can get a big sell-off, buy into it, ride it for a couple of days, sell it, you probably do pretty good there. Or do you think it's just too risky because of possibility of 2X losses, Bitcoin goes significantly down after buying it? Well, yeah, I mean, that's always the possibility there. So you have to kind of weigh it. I wouldn't put everything into it. Put a little bit into it, see how it does maybe. Let's see. Why are the Sunday evening bumps up in BTC so many weeks? I'm not sure. It's usually the other time zones that are buying it. But yeah, I'm not sure. Let's see. Cleanspark been buying a lot more under 10. What are your thoughts on reaching the 50 exahash by mid-2025 as they have all the machines and infrastructure now? Let's hope they surprise. They've already surprised me. Right, original targets for them was 32 exahash by the end of this year. They're now targeting 37 exahash. That's a 5 exahash improvement. They do have machines that are getting delivered this year to get to 50 exahash. So I'm guessing they might surprise us to get to that 50 exahash maybe by sometime the first quarter of 2025. That would be ideal, I think. But we'll see. Why does Bitcoin rise on Sunday evenings? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't track it or follow it that closely. Brad says Japan. That could be it. Let's see. Is Wolf going to 40 this cycle? The only way they would go to 40 is if they actually get a sizable contract with a hyperscaler or just a company that's doing AI for maybe an extended period of time. Because right now we just don't have any growth from them getting beyond a certain amount of exahash this year. And that's going to limit their growth potentially. Okay. Hey Seb, whilst these investments are part of a balanced portfolio, do you ever worry about how much weighting you have in these relatively high-spec stocks? What made the decision easier for you? I've been through this since 2017, right? So I've seen the cycles happen before, and I've learned my lessons from it. Got, my head kicked in a little bit here with Hive. I didn't sell that one. And when it peaked, I probably should have done that. Everybody was saying Bitcoin's going to 100,000. So I have maybe a thicker skin because of that, I think. And I'm also at this point in age where the amount that I've been putting into it does not impact my family's well-being or their lifestyle, more or less, you could say. So anything that I put into it is beyond what I can provide to my family already as it is. And they have a great life as it is. So I can be a little bit more, I guess you could say, what's the word I'm looking for there? Gosh, more bullish or more, there's a word, I'm thinking of a word, but I can't think of it right now. I can't think of the word, but you guys know what I mean. It's basically being more headstrong on this than being maybe a little bit more conservative. So I'm more aggressive. I'm more aggressive on this because I still have, in my view, maybe another 20, 25 years of working that I may have to do if this doesn't go through, right? So the amount that I put into it right now is sizable. It would basically pay off my student loans and maybe some other things as well. But I believe, and I see it in the data and everything else, that this should do very well in the next 12 months, right? I got into it in 2022 because I didn't know where the bottom was going to be, and I didn't want to miss the bottom. So I just started buying into these guys, getting in as much as I could. And it's been a process over the last 3 years, basically, going on almost 3 years now. Just continuing buying and getting a sizable position in these companies here to then get a nice return on them when they do actually start popping in the bull run here that we're expecting to happen in the next 12 months or so. But that's kind of why I'm more leveraged that way, I guess. And then I still believe that I have more time to recoup it if I do lose it. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. And you probably shouldn't do that because I'm all in on Bitcoin, Bitcoin miners, and everything else. And that is not a proper diversification of the portfolio. It is nowhere near. I am 100% in crypto and crypto proxies. Let's see. Which miners are you buying? I've been buying Cleanspark, Bitfarms, IREN. CORZ has been running up on me like crazy. I'd like to see a little bit pullback on that one before I start buying that one back in. But those are the ones I've been buying. Okay. How big of a role will cooler temperatures play this winter for miners in the northern hemisphere? Will factor more significant than in years past, perhaps due to this being a parabolic cycle? Up northern hemisphere, I don't think it plays much to them as it is. They don't curtail as much as the companies that are based in Texas, where it's kind of like the southern end. But you're talking about the hemisphere, so you're talking about companies that are north of the equator compared to the ones that are in the southern hemisphere, which would then be like South Africa, South America, and all those things. Yeah, I don't know. We don't track those miners, so it's kind of hard to tell how those guys will do. Let's see here. Your peak IREN and Cleanspark dollar price, the cycle peak of, let's say, 150,000. I still think we might have, my targets are a little bit higher than Mike's are right now, Mike Alfred's. I think Cleanspark can get to between $60 and $70. I'm thinking IREN maybe between $70 to $80. And the only reason I say that is because IREN has less shares. But overall, I think even with Cleanspark being a little bit lower priced per share, they will still have a much larger market cap than IREN does. Let's see. Hey, Seb, are you a technical analysis bro? I am not. No way. Let's see. Especially if you could only buy one or two miners right now, which ones would you pick? I would still be it'd be toss up between Cleanspark, IREN, and Bitfarms right now. Those are the, I guess you could say three. It's not really the two. But if I had to choose, man, that would be tough. Yeah, I don't know. It would be a toss up. Okay. Hey, so can you explain why miners will grow despite crazy share dilution? Does this business model in itself depends on BTC growing much more than the miners dilute? Yeah. So dilution is usually accretive as long as you're getting much better hash rate growth. And we've seen that with quite a few of the miners, right? Cleanspark went from 100 petahash 3 years ago to being over now, 20 plus exahash go to 37 exahash. So that's huge growth there. That means that they're going to be generating more revenue. Also, larger hash rate means that some of these companies like Cleanspark, possibly Riot, Marathon, IREN as well, they're getting to scale, right? Scale means you have a heck of a lot more of something generating revenue for you than you do have for operational expenses like SG&A, those types of things, right? Where those are usually a little bit more fixed, but as you scale your operations, you're able to generate a heck of a lot more revenue, and that makes it the other costs much lower. So that Bitcoin going up in value will help, and then them just generating more revenue overall should be a boom for the miners that are actually doing really well. Let's see, Rendar says, I want to finish my purchases for Bitfarms. I'm worried for another big dip 2 weeks into October. Would it be a good time to add around to? I honestly believe that Bitfarms should be at least 2x from where it is right now. So anything that you can get around these levels, I think, is a great deal. What else here? Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I'm reading Private's comment here. Okay, here we go. Let's put this up. I'm thinking after the next big pull down, BTC going down about 20%, whenever that happens, BTX will be down about 40, and a very good buy to ride BTC up 50% because would be around 100x in BTX, possibly, right? I don't get into that stuff. You guys that do, if we get a big drawdown, which I think probably won't happen until maybe a 20% drop. I mean, we could get one here in like October. I don't think so. I think October and November is going to be a pretty good month for. I would expect it maybe to happen in December. Profit taking for the end of the year taxes is another reason for that. So we might have a drop in Bitcoin price in like towards the end of December, maybe. At that point, maybe then, yeah, it would make sense to get BTX. Okay. Haysub convinced us to vote in favor of Cleanspark share increase. I'm not sure why we want that. Well, if we don't vote for it, they're not going to be able to grow, and they're basically going to die a slow death eventually because they can't do that. So all the miners here are growing with their hash rate or their shares, number of shares. Marathon went from like 400 million to 800 million, I believe. Not Marathon. That was Riot. I'm sorry. I think Marathon also increased the number of shares. All these companies are increasing their shares, but you also have to think about what did you get for that, right? I keep saying Cleanspark as an example. You got from 100 petahash at the beginning of 2021 in January to them being now over 20 exahash and growing tremendously to getting 37 exahash by the end of the year. That is huge growth in hash rate. That put them in basically like the number 2 spot in hash rate numbers are concerned for the year, next to Marathon, where, who would have thought that they would have done that? But they diluted basically like 200 million over the last 3 years or so, roughly, right? So I would expect the next 300 million to be even longer dilution side of things because their share price is higher than where it was when they were starting out on all these things. So they were diluting at a much lower price price at that point. Bitcoin was at a lower price as well, but they grew tremendously. So I would expect that to do much better going forward. Let's see. What do you think of I'm for it, right? It's been accretive I believe it's been accretive to investors. So I'm all for it. They need to grow. They need to keep, adding more hash rate and things like that. Eventually, once you get to a big enough scale, I think you may dilute less. But until you get to that point, would also like to see them sell their Bitcoin HODL. Maybe not all of it, but majority of it in the bull run, fund that, profits from that to then grow the company again in the bear market, less dilution that way. But we'll see. Let's see. Kevin asks, we just had the autumnal equinox. Now that we're in the fall, looking back at summer, what was the biggest surprise of the last 3 months? Really wasn't a surprise to me. It's kind of following the same trend that we saw back in the last cycle, where after the halving event, Bitcoin was kind of flat or going down, miners same thing until we reached 3-4 months past that, and then we started going back up. So not much of a surprise here. Let's see. Are you buying Bitfarms? Yes, I will be buying some more this week. I just don't know exactly how much, but I will be buying it evenly between Bitfarms, IREN, and Cleanspark as well. Will Bitfarms go to 30 or 40 this cycle? I don't think so. I'm guessing somewhere between 15 and 20. If Bitcoin goes above 150,000, I could see that possibly happening. Let's see. Is it better to scale our during the pump? How shall we play it the best way? Profit on Bitfarms play since it's so undervalued at the moment. Yeah, that I don't know. I mean, dollar cost average into it while you can, and then dollar cost average out as we get into the bull run. It's kind of the way I would do it. Let's see. Is there a reason why MicroStrategy should do a 2x of Bitcoin? I know it has really outperformed, but all the company does is buy BTC at spot price, right? Where is the real leverage? There really isn't any leverage. It's just them buying and holding a bunch of Bitcoin. Bitcoin going up 2x, 3x. That's kind of what they should actually do. But they usually do like a 2x on top of it. So if Bitcoin goes 2x, they should probably do like a 4x, ideally. Sometimes they do go up higher than that, and then they come back down to reality. But that's kind of where I've seen things on that. Okay, what else here? Let's forward to June 2025. Bitcoin at 180,000, and you have sold most of your miners. What stock will you invest in until you get back into the miners during the bear market? I may invest in Tesla at that point. I may invest a little bit also into Rivian. I think there's some good things happening for them in the long run, but it's going to be a longer play. I may invest in some real estate as well, pay off my debt, those types of things. Okay. Let's see. Pro says it will do well. Seb, just need to slowly cash out. Same as DCA. Don't try to time the. Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to be able to time it perfectly. I know that. But at a certain point, I will start, drawing down my positions here, 5% at a time or something like that. SH says the pump today has to do with Harris' positive statement about digital currencies. Again, politics. Bitcoin does not care about politics. Bitcoin's going to do whatever it's going to do. We've seen that before. I've talked about this in the past as well. We've had Democrats, Republicans in the White House. What has Bitcoin done? Bitcoin has gone up, right? It's a finite supply of Bitcoin, 21 million Bitcoin. That's all you're going to get. So it's just supply and demand economics there at work. Let's see. Sorry, trying to find some questions here. When will you sell your miners? Probably as Bitcoin gets closer to 100,000 and above that. I'm not going to sell everything all at once. I will taper out of those, guys. Hopefully I'll get close to the top, but I'll be selling before that, and I'll be selling probably well after that as well. Just somewhere in the middle. If I get an average somewhere between there, I'll be happy. Why Bitfarms is not pumping? It's so much down. I think for Bitfarms, it's just Riot holding it back right now. But maybe we'll get some closure in that come November 6th when we have the shareholders vote. Let's see. Roger says Michael Alfred was saying good miners would 10x from somewhere. For some reason, he's less bullish now. He also used to say 300 BTC LOL. Well, you just never know, right? A lot of people are saying that Bitcoin could go to 250, 300,000. You just never know. I think he's just being maybe more conservative on his numbers recently. But I also always thought Bitcoin would go to like 180,000, somewhere around there. I thought that was a fair conservative number for it. If it goes above that, all the better. But if we could get to 180,000, I think that would be good. Is this the one so-called super cycle? No. Super cycle, if this was a super cycle, we'd be going to like 500,000 at that point. What if you only answered X amount of questions unless there was 100 likes? How many likes do we have here? We got 43, 44 likes. Yeah, so every like that I get, I answer a question. Let's see. Hey, Seb, are you grateful once again? Are you still holding Rivian? Yes, I'm still holding. I think I have 100 shares left of them as a reminder that I need to buy more later on. Hope you didn't buy prior to March of this year. Thanks for all your info. I bought them. Mistake on my part again. I bought them at the IPO, and then I bought as they were coming down. I did have almost 1,000 shares at one point, but I sold 90% of it because I just knew that Rivian is going to be a much longer time frame play for me, whereas the miners are going to be in the next year to 2 years. So I sold a bunch of Rivian shares and got into the miners more. Let's see here. Listen to Penny in the spaces. Devastatingly knowledgeable. Yes, Penny is very good. Hard to understand why he pops in if he essentially opposed to everything but CORZ. Yeah, I don't know why he can't wrap his head around. I mean, he's bullish on Bitcoin going up, but he's just for some reason can't get his head wrapped around the miners for some reason. I'm not sure why. Let's see. Hey, Seb, are you doing call options for these miners or others? I'm not. No. Okay. Let's see. Hive, Bitfarms, Digital, IREN price prediction if Bitcoin's at 120,000. I mean, that's basically 2x from where we are right now. The miners should do at least I would say, between 4 and 6x on that from where they are. So that's kind of where I would expect them to be. 97 says, I suck at trying things. I do as well. I'm with you. I'm in that same boat with you. Let's see. Do you think there will be another major dip in BTC like 42 to 40? I know. Before the parabolic move, everyone keeps saying September is red seasonably, but BTC is up in September, so will Bitcoin crash end of September? It might come down a little bit, but historically, Bitcoin has not been that badly beaten down in September. If we look at the chart here, you can see September here, down 3% in 2022, down 7% in 2021, down 7.5% in 2020. 2019 was down 13%. I mean, it's not usually down that much, right? And we've had, actually in 2015, 2016, where we had 2 green months for September. We're seeing like we might have the same thing happening here again in September this year around as well. So take them into consideration as well. I wouldn't expect a huge dip here, at least not right now. I think that move might be done over with. Okay. Thanks again, Seb. Yeah, you're very welcome. Are you interested in any Web3 stocks like Coin? No, I am. No. I do own some altcoins and things like that, but those are going to be gone by the end. Well, by the end of this cycle, they will be gone, except for like Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum. I'll hold on to those. Why do any of the miners beat BTC? It doesn't even make sense. I'll just buy BTC and watch the mining bubble collapse. I mean, that is absolutely, you're right to do that. But the reason that they outperform BTC is because they can mine it at a much lower cost than what the spot price of Bitcoin is. Oh, what else we got here? Senna says, bad feeling the bull run won't come and will be the bag holders. I don't think so. There's too much money in institutions right now for them not to basically pump it up. They want to make money on it. Let's see. You think Bitfarms and IREN could survive a recession and stay listed? Yeah, I do. Let's see here. Yeah, election year, folks. Yep. Are you not worried at all about some miners that don't follow BTC? Yep. There might be a couple that don't follow. I think it's mostly the smaller miners, but even at that point, I think historically, last cycle, even the smaller miners were going up like crazy. Maybe not as much as some of the bigger miners, but they were still going up. So I would expect the same thing to happen this time around. Let's see. Amik says, thanks for the stream, Seb. You're very welcome. Hope we have a great week ahead. Me too. I hope it's a great week. It's going to be the end of the September week. And then we're up to October, as they call it. J. Cole is just tuning in. How are we looking on the shorts versus long? I'm long. I don't know about anybody else. Everybody else is short, but I'm long. Let's see here. We had Mt. Gox, Germany, etc., causing some downward trends. Are there any more Bitcoin dumps waiting in the wings? FTX, I think, is going to be putting things out there. Giving back money back to the, not money, but I think Bitcoin back to the creditors there or people that were in it. That might be coming up. I don't know exactly when that is though. When Riot moons, when Bitcoin moons, then they will moon then as well. Let's see. Jobs report will determine where we go in October. Possibly. Fed's going to be cutting rates though, so that's always a pretty good sign here. Robert says, next stop, 68K. Where are we at right now? We are at 64,389 on Bitcoin. Okay, we're having a nice little run here right now. We reached, what did we reach here? We reached, what was the top here? High, 64,739. Okay, and that is right there. Do we have any support prior to that? We do a little bit right here. And then where else do we have any support on that? Let's see if we got any more support. 64.39. Not really. I mean, back here, going back to, well, this is going back to April. So we had some support back there. It looks like around these ranges. I mean, look at where Bitcoin has been. And we've been kind of trading sideways, downwards a little bit, and now we're starting to finally come back up here a little bit. It'll be interesting. It'll be fun. All right, let's see if we got any other questions. If not, we'll call it a day. Roger says, I heard FTX is returning 12 billion. Is it in cash or I thought it was in Bitcoin? I can't remember. Let's see. Himenashi says, I have, is it Bit Digital? 525,000 shares at 370 Canadian. Do you think it can do at least 15, or is that Bitfarms, 15 USD this cycle? If yes, but at what price of BTC? If we're talking about Bitfarms, I think maybe you're talking about Bitfarms. I do think it can do, I think it get close to it, maybe surpass it. I would expect Bitcoin to be at that point between probably north of 150,000 for them to get to that point. Excuse me. That's kind of where I would think it would be. Let's see. How would IREN and Bitfarms manage to stay listed in a recession where Bitcoin crashes? Both have really good balance sheets right now, no debt. They can still continue to mine, and as Bitcoin goes down in value, the network difficulty hash rate will drop because some of the miners that have older machines will shut them off. So that's kind of, you have a balancing act with that, with Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners for the most part. Emic says, good night, Seb. Good night. Have a great week. Catch you tomorrow. Absolutely, we'll be back tomorrow. Bitfarms, yes. Let's see. You said if Bitcoin drops to 30, 40,000, then that would be devastating for the miners. They wouldn't be able to survive. No, for some miners. But eventually things equal out because you have network hash rate going down. You have the difficulty as well. The miners are well capitalized, no debt. They're going to be fine for an extended period of time. They can survive for, several years before things get really bad for them. Himanashi, thank you so much for the super chat or the super sticker. Appreciate it. And yeah, I think we're caught up to all you guys' questions here. So we'll call it a day. What time is it? We're going on over an hour here. So yeah, let's call it a day. I got to get to sleep and get to work tomorrow as well. So I really appreciate you guys coming in here as always. Love you all. Love the questions. We are getting into, I think, maybe more favorable timing in Bitcoin, where Bitcoin should be going up here in October, November. We might be down in December. We'll see. And then it should be another fun, like maybe 9 months after that as well. All right. But we're still early. So be patient out there and be kind. Rewind. Can't rewind these videos. But if you remember Blockbuster back in the day, be kind and rewind. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm getting that from. I might be dating myself on that one. All right. That's it. Thank you so much. Hope you guys have a great week. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day tomorrow. I'll see you guys.